Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Confrontier, in which we explore the building of a mentality. In today's episode, I'd like to talk about what I would call the seven virtues. At least they are my seven virtues, the characteristics of a personality that I think you should aspire to in your actions and perhaps even more importantly, thoughts, because you do not just have to act the act, but also believe in your act. What I'll be talking about ties in closely to everything I've said before in earlier videos, and so I fully recognize that this may not be the most logical thing to do this video before I did the others, but hey, I'm not going to pretend there is much of a logical succession or order to this thing I'm doing. Much as I advise you and anyone else to consider yourself a work in progress, so is this channel and so are these videos a work in progress in which I hammer out what I like and dislike. I have found that in doing these videos I have also been distilling my own thoughts and putting them in what you might call the right order, and to understand myself and my thought processes and my convictions a bit more. I thought it might be appropriate to discuss seven virtues, or try to organize my beliefs and so on into those seven virtues. I fully recognize that I am appropriating, you could say, the concept of seven virtues from a religious philosophy, more or less, or religious convictions, especially Christianity. Now, I am not a believer myself, and I am certainly not a believer in the idea that religions provide morality. They have appropriated that idea that morality is something coming from their doctrines and following those. However, morality is something that comes from within and that is bigger, older, and more important than whatever religion that tries to lay claim to them. So, my seven virtues, because I am not above some mimetic mutation and above symbolism, are as follows. I will be discussing them one by one. Now, the first virtue is responsibility, in my view. Responsibility amounts to realizing that you are a person who has at least some responsibility for their actions, and also that you have a responsibility towards others as well as your surroundings. When you do not take that responsibility, you are at best of no importance or no consequence to other people and your surroundings, and at worst, a danger. The second one is understanding, and by that I mean empathy, but also trying to understand the world around you. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be considerate of obnoxious or toxic viewpoints, not at all. But I think you do need to strive to understand where people are coming from, why they have those convictions, and what you are yourself condemning. Understanding is not the same as tolerating, accepting, condoning, or even propagating them. It's knowing, just as I feel it's important that you try to know more about the bolts and screws of how the world works, in as much as you can. You cannot know everything, but realize, and that is also a form of understanding, that your own knowledge and your own understanding is always limited, and that your mind is not the be and end all of everything around you. Third, tying into responsibility, I think restraint is also one of those things that you need to master, because in restraint we show our wisdom, and in restraint we take care of others, and in showing restraint we also respect our environment, respect our surroundings, and force ourselves to look critically at ourselves and our actions. I think that in restraining yourself, you are also showing respect towards yourself, because you do not indulge in activities too much that will hurt your mental, psychological, or physical well-being. What I consider the fourth virtue is caring. Because in caring for others, whether that be other people or pets or the environment or other things entrusted to our care, or which we have responsibility over, or who we have responsibility over, we show ourselves to be a better person. We show ourselves to be reliable. We show ourselves to be worthy of other people's trust and of the responsibility put on us. So this interlocks quite a bit with responsibility, I think. It's just as all these virtues tie into each other and strengthen each other in what you could call a bonding network, a network of virtuous abilities, of virtuous capacities, and of virtuous actions that help us get further as a person and that help us reach value, you could say, as a person beyond our mere intrinsic value that we are born with, but also value in the sense that we interact positively with our environment and our surroundings as much as we can. To once again quote from a religious source, love thy neighbor. And that, of course, has the meaning of trying to love the people that are around you, not just your literal neighbor, but everyone around you. Now, that seems like a wise lesson, and it certainly is, but I think the wisdom underlying it is mostly that loving people is not easy. A lot of people make it very difficult indeed to love them, to care for them. But you should at least aspire to care for them in the sense that you take their feelings and that you take their demands into account. And sometimes you'll have to conclude that you have to ignore those feelings because otherwise you would be in a self-destructive circle, perhaps. Alas, that happens. But you should at least avoid trying to reach that conclusion too early. The fifth virtue is autonomy. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be an island. No one is an island. And that would be an illogical conclusion to draw after you've heard what I said before in this video. But what I mean by autonomy is that you should try to be yourself and should try to reach your own potential, and that you should not model yourself on other people's demands or to other people's desires to you, and that you should try to discover what you are best in, and that you should be proud of yourself, or at least the achievements and abilities and qualities you have that you deserve to be proud of. Recognize that you are a worthy individual, but that you do need to work on yourself. And if you choose how to work on yourself in a way that has a positive effect on yourself and your general surroundings and your neighbor, if you would like to put it like that, I think you're on the right way. So strive for that autonomy. Be proud of who you are, as long as it is something you can actually be proud of. Recognize your flaws and your lesser qualities for what they are. Try to mitigate them, so try to make them less dangerous, destructive, or annoying to others as well as yourself. But recognize that they are there and that you need to get a grip on them. Do not ignore your lesser qualities, because everyone has them. And you cannot expect yourself to be perfect. You do have to expect of yourself that you try to be the best person you can be, and that you want to interact with the world positively. The sixth virtue is closely tied in with the former one, the fifth, the autonomy one, namely the fact that you should realize that you are a work in progress. So I would put that virtue down to personal growth, really. To realize that you are never a work that is completed. You are not perfect, nor will you ever be. However, you should strive to be the best person you can be. in terms of whatever you think is important in that regard. You can't work on everything at once, but you can work on small things or work on big things in small steps. People who consider themselves perfect or who consider themselves above needing to grow are people who actually need to do the most growing and the most perfecting of themselves. The seventh virtue and the last one would be self-reflection. Considering yourself a work in progress, that you can only succeed further if you look at yourself as honestly as you can and realize that entirely objective observation of anything, especially yourself, is not a possibility. There is no way you can do that. But when you do look at yourself, do try to look at yourself critically, though not too unrealistically. Keep in mind that you might well need other people's feedback in order to get a good grip on who you are, what you are, and how you can improve yourself. And realize, and this is a pretty basic thing, that you can learn from your mistakes and that you should try to do so. Failing is not in itself something bad. Failing is painful, it puts us out of balance, but it's also a way to get further. In order to reach further, you need to reach, which means there is always a risk of falling. But if you never take those risks at all, you will not get any further. And I can promise you that you will only grow more resentful for it. So reach out. Try to get beyond who you are now. Try to reach that goal. And as long as you put work into it, and as long as you can be proud of what work you put into it, you have already reached something. Namely, you've grown into a more realized and a more wiser version of yourself, really. And sometimes that little step is the only step it is possible to take. So that concludes my list of 7 virtues. I wonder what you think of them. I think they are all pretty basic, as in plain and sane, as I always strive to be in these videos. If you want to react, please do. And if you feel like sharing my video, go ahead. And of course, if you want to subscribe, do so. Bye.